All right, I drove about 80 miles to see Dave Moss here in San Rafael. So I just got the 2022 Rebel 1100 and he's gonna adjust the suspension. So right off the bat, you're saying the rear suspension is really soft?
So first thing is to check static sag, right? And you want about 12 to 15 mil or about half an inch. So that's reasonable. But when you push on it, it jumps back up and the whole bike shakes. So textbook and real world are often different. So we're actually going to take this all the way up to the top and soften the spring up because there's no external damping, and because the spring tension is so tight, even though the mathematics on the static sag is correct, we're getting kick. So we've got to take the spring tension out to soften that kick. So what you're feeling is, you might feel it's soft or you might feel it's harsh, and it's because the spring is too tight. So we're going to wind this all the way up to the stop. So we've got a thread and a half left. Now what's your weight? Because that's important for people that are listening.
You want my real weight for the camera?
I want your Monday morning weight, not your Saturday night weight.
210 without the gear.
210 without the gear. Okay. So this doesn't want to turn, so let's put it onto the side stand. Unwaste it. We want to turn by hand. The spring does, not the mechanism. So let's have a look at what we've got. So if we turn it this way, it turns, and then if we go the other way, we might be at a dead stop right now. It's got a preload adjuster on it. Hear the click? So turn it. And that changes preload. So we were at maximum. We were at minimum already.
Minimum, yep.
So there's nothing we can do with that in terms of damping our spring tension. And there's the end of the movement. So we've just got to validate. There we go. We've got to get it past that point.
But we can make it harder than...
No, we don't need to make it harder. We've got to take the kick out of it.
Okay.
So what we've got to do is see how far we can go without damaging this. So it was very resistant the last time. So the question is, are we getting anywhere? Yes, we are. And there should be one more in it. Now there's that is at our absolute minimum now. So all the threads are completely disappeared and this is bottom down on the body. So we'll repeat that on the other side. Now look at the difference. Those aren't the same. So, can I get in there? Go by hand. Yeah, and then it binds. Alright, so let's shorten this up. Yeah, there's your minimum. All right, so now they're the same. Let's take a look and do the push test and see how it behaves if that kick is gone. Much smoother. So that's going to be a much more pleasant ride. Now the other piece is a little bit of grease here, right? In the middle third, we'll show, and I mean a tiny bit, we'll leave a ring, and that'll show you how much travel you're using. Normally a shock will get into the bumper, so you want it to be about 3 or 4 millimeters above that. So with this tension and that kick gone, we might actually use less travel. We'll see. But to do it, just a tiny bit of grease here, which will leave a grease ring. Ideal 3 to 4 millimeters off the bottom. When you know you're good, wipe the grease away, clean it all up, and that'll tell you you're good to go. All right, let's go to the front. Now you can see how much travel you're using. So with the bike at rest, that is 95 millimeters of travel, but that's not bottom. So if we extend all the way, that is 110 millimeters of travel used. Do you know where bottom out is? Do you know how much travel you got in your forks? He's fired. He's fired. So the part here is where's bottom out. Even with all your preload in at this point, you may actually still be bottoming out.
Oh, really?
So we have to look up year, make, model, specifications, and then we have to see how much travel you got. So if the book says 110 mil, that's hard bottom. And you can see that that dirt's been there for a long time, and you've got it there frequently. On the ride here, you've got those three rings today, but I'm gonna bet that that's bottom. And if it is bottom, then bottom is...
So if it's at the hardest and I'm still bonding them out,
your springs are too soft, right?
What option do I have then?
Well, you contact Race Tech and you take the springs out, you measure the ID, the OD, and the length, and then you say, these springs are no good for me. What do you have as alternates? Here are my spring dimensions. And they go, oh, we have these. So you'd put in probably an 8.0 rate to take care of that. 42 millimeters. If that is true mechanical, it's 42 millimeter gap from the bottom of the lower triple to that ring. Okay. Next piece is fork oil.
Jumping. It's like
now remember, all your preload is in. So you've made this a trampoline. So the oil weight that's in there is way too thin. So usually on these, we use 20 weight to the same volume as the owner's manual calls for. And if you start bottoming on a regular basis with the stock springs, then we add another 25 cc's to each leg.
Okay.
So you're using compressed air to stop bottoming, so it helps.
Can you do that for me? That's not good.
No. And the reason it's showing like that is you rode 80 miles to get here.
Yeah.
And part of that 80 miles is it got the fork oil screaming hot. Now because it's hot, the issue is going to be, at its peak, it is the thinnest it can be because of heat. So usually on forks like these, we change them every 3,000 miles maximum because you have no damping available to you at all for adjustment, only half preload.
Okay. Yeah, please take care of me. Do it.
So at this point, to take care of you, we're actually going to go ahead, because the back of the bike was pinging,
yeah,
which is hurting the forks. We're actually going to back your preload away and take some of that recoil force out of the forks.
Okay.
To make it a lot more comfortable to go over it. 2, 4, 6, 8 turns, which is putting you at 2 lines showing. Now watch the tank here with the clock. Just comes up and stops. So all that violence is removed from the spring by making it just a little bit softer. So now it comes up and sits. That's not an issue at all. Okay.
So you don't need to add a thicker viscosity?
Yeah, you do.
You do? Will you be able to do that
time
today or no?
No,
No.
because that's 2.5 hours more.
Oh, okay. I need to make another appointment with you.
We need to figure that out.
Okay.
So now what I want to do is put you on the bike
Okay.
and check all your ergonomics.
Okay.
So feet up first. I've got the bike. Okay, so this distance here between your clutch and the bar, go ahead and move your hand away, is 4 inches or 100 millimeters. You must have an enormous left hand because the right one is 70 millimeters or 2.5 inches.
Doesn't make sense.
At that point, leave the phone there, go ahead, grip the throttle. Now, if you move my hand at all, every time you go to brake, you're accelerating. First of all, the gap is too small, so you have to lift to clear your fingers first to go. So go back, watch your knuckles. So go get it. See how you come up to clear and then go forward? So we're 1 too high, but we're also too close. That's too far away. Now try it. Same thing, go get it. It's faster, right? But you can flick your finger on it now. So if we take the Allen here and just lower it a tiny bit, we'll get the angle. Now try it. See how quick that is? So we naturally do need to go one further out. There we go. Much faster. So the realization there when you're riding is that at 80 miles an hour, the first thing that you should not do is accelerate. The second thing is lift your fingers. The third thing is position them to go forward, and then the fourth thing is that. At 80 miles an hour, it's 800 feet before you've applied the brakes. So that can be fatal. Getting the distance right so that the end of your finger goes over the lever and the angle correct so you're a straight line before you even put the key in the bike is critical. Now, switch hands and let's see what the left one does. So go get it. So you have to do the same thing, right? So let's soften this one up and get it in the right place. So free play is good. Now go get it. So now you see how your fingers are going diagonally for the smallest part. So we need to move it that way to get it closer to you so it's easier for you to reach. That way you can keep that knuckle in the center of your wrist. That's the important part.
Can it be adjusted to be as close to that one?
No.
No, it's not adjustable.
The only adjustment there is your free play, right?
Yeah.
So, is it worth you purchasing an aftermarket lever to get it perfectly placed for you? That's the question. Most budget bikes don't have an adjustable clutch lever. So rather than buy carbon fiber and would you buy a lever that can fit your hand perfectly? The other thing to remember is lateral movement here is really important so it fits your hand when it's not adjustable. If you had a bigger hand, we'd slide it that way. We'd go out to get this part of the lever in the correct place because your fingers and palm are the same length. Mine are not even close. So ergonomically, that's much, much better. So what we need you to do now is go for a test ride and then come back and see how it feels.
Okay.